All right, let's talk about a pretty huge shift that's happening in the .NET world. And this isn't just about code. It's really about communication, collaboration, and what's looking like a powerful new chapter for automated testing. And believe me, that is not an exaggeration. The entire software development lifecycle, everything we do, it all hinges on one simple thing: shared understanding. When that breaks down, well, that's when projects go off the rails, budgets just explode, and brilliant ideas turn into frustrating dead ends. And that's exactly the problem we're going to dig into. So where does this breakdown usually start? It almost always begins in what I like to call the requirements maze. It's a place that, every developer, tester, and project manager knows all too well.
No, seriously, just think about it for a second. On your current project, right now, if you had to find the absolute single source of truth for a feature, where would you even begin to look?
Maybe you'd start by digging through, a dozen Confluence pages, and you're just crossing your fingers that the one you land on is actually the up-to-date version, right?
Or, hey, maybe you find yourself lost in Azure DevOps, sifting through this tangled web of user stories and comments, just trying to piece together the full picture of what's actually supposed to happen.
And then there's the all-time classic, the giant static Excel sheet. You know the one. It's filled with test cases, but it's completely disconnected from the code base. It's a nightmare to maintain, hard to read, and it's probably out of date the second you hit save. This fragmentation, this is where those costly misunderstandings are born.
But what if there was a way to escape this maze? Well, there is. It's called behavior-driven development, or BDD, and its whole purpose is to create a common language for the entire team. And the key words here are collaboration and plain language. See, BDD isn't just another testing framework. It's really about getting the business analysts, the developers, and the QA engineers all on the exact same page before a single line of code ever gets written. This shows the transformation perfectly. We move away from that old way of doing things, static docs, high risk of misinterpretation, disconnected teams, and we move towards what's called living documentation. This is so cool. Here, the requirements aren't just some documents anymore, they are the tests. They live, they breathe, and they evolve right alongside your application.
So how do we actually make this happen? How do we write these requirements in a way that both a project manager and a computer can understand? We do it using a really simple structured language called Gherkin.
Now, Gherkin is incredibly straightforward. It's built on 3 simple keywords: given, when, and then. Given sets the stage, it's the context. When describes an action the user takes, and then verifies the outcome we expect. It's a structure that's designed for absolute clarity. I mean, just look at this example. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can read this and understand exactly what this feature is supposed to do. There's no ambiguity. And this plain text description, it becomes the specification, the test case, and the documentation, all rolled into one powerful package.
Now, for years and years, the go-to tool for doing BDD in the .NET world has been SpecFlow, but the story is evolving, and that brings us to the future, ReqnRoll.
So here's the crucial point. SpecFlow is retiring at the end of 2024. But this is not an end, it's more like a rebirth. ReqnRoll has been created by SpecFlow's original author to carry the torch forward. So you're getting the same philosophy, the same power, but it's built for the future of .NET.
Okay, so we have this plain English text we saw earlier, but how does it actually connect to code that runs and tests our application? Well, this is where the magic happens. Let's take this simple step from a calculator feature file. It's just a sentence, right? And the second number is 70, something anyone can write and understand. And this is the C# code that sits behind that sentence. That little piece of text in the square brackets, that's an attribute, and it acts as a bridge. ReqnRoll sees the pattern in the plain text Gherkin step and automatically links it to this C# code. And just like that, your plain language feature file becomes an executable test. So what's the big payoff? Why does all this matter? Well, first off, your documentation can never be out of date. Why? Because if the documentation is wrong, the test fails. And it's that simple. It forces everyone, developers, QAs, and business analysts, to speak the same unambiguous language. And your test suite becomes readable, living documentation for the entire team.
Ultimately, BDD with a tool like ReqnRoll gives your application a voice that everyone can understand. So the only question left is, what story does your code need to tell?